Welcome to the world of science fiction. I am Adam, your narrator, where extraordinary tale come to life. Enjoy the journey. The pristine walls of Lunar Base Epsilon gleamed under artificial lighting as Commander Diana Winter stood at her observation post, her dark eyes fixed on the endless expanse of space before her. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared her for what this night would bring. The base's proximity sensors suddenly lit up like a Christmas tree, warning of an approaching object moving at impossible speeds. "Commander, unidentified vessel approaching from Sector 7, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "It's not matching any known signatures, and it's damaged." Diana leaned forward, watching as the ship came into view, a crystalline structure that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. Its surface was marred by what appeared to be weapon damage, leaving trails of ethereal energy in its wake. "Open Emergency Bay 3, ready medical and security teams." The vessel barely made it into the bay before its engines failed completely. As the atmospheric shields engaged, Diana made her way down to the landing area, accompanied by her security detail. The ship's surface was cooling rapidly, creating a misty shroud around its hull. With a sound like breaking glass, a portion of the ship's surface became translucent, and two figures emerged. They were humanoid but clearly alien. Their skin had a pearl-like iridescence, and their eyes were completely silver, lacking pupils or irises. Both appeared female, though one was noticeably taller than the other. "I am Commander Diana Winter of Earth's Lunar Defense Force," Diana announced, keeping her hand away from her weapon despite her training screaming at her to do otherwise. "State your purpose." The taller alien stepped forward, supporting the smaller one who seemed barely conscious. "I am Naira, and this is my sister Senna. We seek sanctuary." Her voice had a musical quality, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We were attacked. Our ship's core is depleted. We cannot continue." Diana noticed the wounds on both aliens, not physical injuries, but rather areas where their natural luminescence seemed to flicker and fade. "Medical team, approach slowly," she ordered, never taking her eyes off the visitors. Something about their desperate state touched her humanity, despite her military training. As the medical team approached with stretchers, Senna collapsed completely. Her skin became almost transparent, revealing what looked like starlight flowing through her veins. Naira caught her sister, her own strength clearly failing. "Please," she whispered, "we need energy, raw energy. Without it, we will fade." Diana made a split-second decision that would change the course of human history. "Get them to the reactor level. Now," she ordered, helping support Naira herself. The aliens were surprisingly light, as if they were barely corporeal. In the reactor chamber, Diana watched in amazement as the sisters seemed to absorb the ambient energy directly from the fusion core. Their bodies began to stabilize, the starlight in their veins growing stronger. As they recovered, Naira turned to Diana, her silver eyes now glowing with renewed strength. "We owe you our lives," she said solemn. The massive ships hovering above Lunar Base Epsilon cast enormous shadows across the lunar surface, their hulls seemingly absorbing all available light. Diana stood in the command center, watching as her teams scrambled to analyze the threat. The Void Hunters' vessels were unlike anything human sensors had encountered before, geometric shapes that seemed to defy physics, their surfaces rippling like oil on water. "Their weapon systems are charging," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. "These energy readings, they're off the charts, Commander." Diana turned to Naira and Senna, who stood near the base's primary energy core, their bodies still gradually recovering. "You said they harvest your essence. What exactly does that mean?" Naira's silver eyes dimmed slightly. "We Luminara are living energy, consciousness given form through light itself. The Void Hunters discovered that by consuming our essence, they could extend their own existence indefinitely. They're energy vampires, feeding off the very force that gives life to the universe." A transmission suddenly cut through all communication channels, the voice deep and resonating with an unnatural frequency. "This is Hunter Prime Mordex. Surrender the Luminara specimens, or we will reduce your facility to its constituent atoms." Diana felt the weight of thousands of lives on her shoulders. every person on the base, and potentially Earth itself if this situation escalated. But as she looked at the alien sisters, she saw something in their silver eyes that gave her pause. There was power there, ancient and vast, but also a deep sadness and determination. "Senna," Naira whispered to her sister, "we must show them." The younger sister nodded, though fear was evident in her stance. Before Diana could respond, both sisters began to glow with increasing intensity. Their humanoid forms became less distinct, revealing their true nature as beings of pure energy. The base's systems fluctuated wildly as they drew power from the surrounding infrastructure, but instead of depleting it, they seemed to be amplifying it. "We can help defend your base," Naira explained, her voice now carrying harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. "But we need your trust and your help. Our power alone is not enough. We need a focal point, a way to channel our energy through your technology." Diana's mind raced through the possibilities. The base's main defense grid was advanced, but nothing compared to what these beings seemed capable of. Then she remembered something, an experimental weapon in development, the quantum resonance cannon. It was designed to harness and amplify energy, but they had never found a power source strong enough to activate it. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, bring the QRC online," she ordered, "and get Dr. Harrison up here immediately." Dr. Olivia Harrison arrived moments later, her usually neat appearance disheveled from running. Her eyes widened at the sight of the transformed sisters. "The QRC isn't ready," she protested. "We haven't even completed the containment protocols." "It's ready enough," Diana insisted. "These beings are living energy. They might be able to interface with it directly." Above them, the Void Hunters' ships began their attack. The first blast hit the base's shields, causing the entire structure to shudder. Warning lights flashed everywhere as systems strained under the assault. "Shields at 60%, Rodriguez called out. "We can't take many more hits like that." Naira and Senna moved toward the QRC's control interface, their energy forms pulsing with determination. "Your weapon," Naira said. "It's crude, but we can work with it. However, the process will be dangerous. If we lose control, the resulting explosion could destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers." Diana looked at her crew, seeing the fear in their eyes, but also the resolve. They had trained for years to defend Earth and its colonies, but none of them had ever imagined facing a threat like this. Yet here they were, standing alongside beings of pure light against hunters of darkness. "Do it," Diana commanded, then turned to her crew. "Begin evacuation procedures for all non-essential personnel. Everyone else battle stations." The sisters merged with the QRC's systems, their energy spreading through the base's power grid like liquid light. Dr. Harrison worked frantically at the controls, trying to maintain stability as readings went off the charts. The whole chamber hummed with power, and Diana felt her hair standing on end from the static charge. Another blast rocked the base. "Shields at 30%, Rodriguez reported. "Multiple hull breaches on levels 3 through 7. But something was happening. The sisters' energy had fully integrated with the QRC, transforming the experimental weapon into something far beyond its original design. The chamber was now filled with swirling patterns of light that seemed to follow laws of physics not yet discovered by humanity. "Commander," Naira's voice echoed through the system, now merged with the base's own communications. "We're ready. But you should know once we begin, there's no turning back. The power we're about to unleash, it will change everything." Diana looked up at the tactical display, showing the looming shapes of the Void Hunters' ships. She thought about Earth, vulnerable and beautiful in the distance, and about all the lives depending on her decision. Then she thought about these beings who had trusted her, who had shown humanity that they weren't alone in the universe. "Lieutenant Rodriguez," she said, her voice firm, "target all Void Hunter vessels. Dr. Harrison, prepare to channel full power to the QRC." She took a deep breath, knowing that whatever happened next would make history if anyone survived to record it. "Fire when ready." Quantum resonance cannon erupted with power beyond anything human technology had ever produced. Through the base's viewports, Diana watched as a beam of pure light, infused with the essence of the Luminara sisters, streaked toward the Void Hunters' ships. The beam wasn't just energy. It carried within it patterns of flowing light that seemed alive, conscious. Energy output exceeding maximum measurable levels, Dr. Harrison called out, her fingers flying across multiple holographic displays. The sister's energy signature is amplifying the QRC's power by at least a factor of 10,000. The beam struck the lead ship, and for a moment nothing seemed to happen. Then the vessel's dark surface began to crack, lines of light spreading across it like breaking ice. The ship's material seemed to be fighting back, trying to absorb the energy, but the Luminara's power was too pure, too fundamental to be consumed. Multiple ships engaging emergency maneuvers, Rodriguez reported, excitement creeping into his professional tone. They're retreating. But Diana's relief was short-lived. Through the command center's speakers, Hunter Prime Mordex's voice boomed once more, now tinged with rage. You cannot protect them forever. We have existed for millennia, consuming the light of creation itself. Your species is nothing but a spark in the darkness. As his words faded, the Void Hunter's ships vanished, leaving behind only a lingering darkness that seemed to eat away at the stars themselves. Within the QRC chamber, Naira and Senna's energy forms began to coalesce back into their humanoid shapes, both sisters clearly exhausted. They'll be back, Senna said weakly, her voice barely above a whisper. And they'll bring their entire fleet. What you saw today was merely a scouting force. Before Diana could respond, her communication panel lit up with urgent messages. Earth Command had witnessed everything through the base's transmissions, and the political fallout was already beginning. Admiral James Hartford's stern face appeared on the main screen. Commander Winter, he said, his voice carrying the weight of authority, you've initiated first contact with not one but two alien species and engaged in combat with one of them. The Security Council is convening an emergency session. We need you and these beings to return to Earth immediately. Diana looked at the sisters, who had managed to stand but were still drawing energy from the base's systems to stabilize themselves. Admiral, these beings just helped us repel an invasion force that could have destroyed the entire base. I suggest we treat them as allies, not subjects for interrogation. This isn't a suggestion, Commander. It's an order. A transport is already en route. Hartford out. Dr. Harrison approached Diana, her tablet displaying complex energy readings. Commander, there's something else you should see. During the battle, our sensors detected quantum entanglement between the sisters and the base's systems. They didn't just channel energy through our technology, they temporarily merged with it. The implications for human advancement are staggering. Diana understood the scientist's excitement, but she could also see the bigger picture forming. Earth would want to study the Luminara to understand and potentially weaponize their power. The very thing the Void Hunters sought to exploit. Your leaders fear us, Naira observed, her silver eyes reflecting the stars visible through the viewport. They fear what we represent, proof that humanity is not alone and that there are forces in the universe far beyond their comprehension. Can you blame them? Diana asked. You've shown us power that makes our most advanced weapons look like children's toys, but you've also shown us that there are threats out there we're not prepared to face alone. Senna moved to stand beside her sister, her form still flickering slightly. Perhaps that is why we were guided here. Our people once believed that all species capable of compassion were worthy of the light. When you chose to help us without knowing what we were, you proved that humanity possesses that worth. A warning alarm suddenly blared through the base. Rodriguez's hands flew across his console. Commander, we're detecting quantum disturbances in Earth's orbit, massive ones. The Void Hunters, they're back, and the Admiral's transport is right in their path. Diana's military training kicked in immediately. How long until they reach Earth? At their current speed, less than 30 minutes, and these readings, they're bringing everything they have, hundreds of ships, maybe more. The sisters exchanged a look that seemed to carry an entire conversation. Finally, Naira turned to Diana. We can help you fight them, teach your people to harness the light as we do, but you must understand this knowledge comes with a price. Once humanity learns to touch the fundamental forces of creation, there's no going back. Your species will become part of a war that has raged since the beginning of time. Diana looked at her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. Humanity had always looked to the stars, dreaming of what lay beyond. Now they faced a choice: remain in comfortable darkness or step into a light that would forever change them. Lieutenant Rodriguez, send word to Earth Command. Dr. Harrison, begin analyzing everything we learned from the QRC integration. Diana turned to face the sisters, her decision made. Teach us. Show us how to stand against the darkness. As alarms continued to sound throughout the base, Diana couldn't help but wonder if she had just committed humanity to a path of either transcendence or destruction. But looking at the approaching darkness visible through the viewport, she knew they had no choice. The real question was, would humanity be ready for what came next? Earth's orbital defense platforms looked like toys compared to the vast armada of Void Hunter vessels now filling the sky. In the transformed control center of Lunar Base Epsilon, Diana watched as humanity faced its first true interstellar crisis. The sisters had spent the last precious hours teaching them how to modify their weapons with light-based technology, but it still felt desperately inadequate against the darkness gathering above their world. All Earth defense stations report ready, Rodriguez announced, his console now glowing with the same ethereal light that the sisters had infused into their systems. The modified weapons are online, but power levels are unstable. Dr. Harrison worked frantically at her station, correlating data from the hastily upgraded defense grid. The quantum modifications are holding, but we don't have enough energy to power all the stations at once. We need more light, more pure energy. Naira and Senna stood in the center of the command room, their forms flickering between physical and pure energy states. There might be a way, Naira said, her voice carrying that musical resonance that seemed to touch something deep in human souls. But it requires a sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? Diana asked, though something in her heart already knew the answer. Senna stepped forward, her silver eyes reflecting the approaching darkness. The Void Hunters feed on light, on life itself, but there is one thing they cannot consume, a freely given sacrifice of pure energy. If we were to detonate ourselves, release our essence all at once, it would create a cascade of light they couldn't absorb. No, Diana protested immediately. There has to be another way. We're not trading lives here. Commander, Hunter Prime Mordex's voice boomed through all channels again. Your primitive defenses cannot stop us. Surrender the Luminara and perhaps we will spare your world. Continue to resist, and we will drain every spark of life from your planet. Diana looked at her tactical display. The Void Hunters' ships were arranging themselves in a complex pattern above Earth, preparing for what looked like a coordinated strike. They had maybe minutes before the attack began. Dr. Harrison suddenly straightened at her console. Wait, the quantum readings, they're showing something new. The sisters' energy signature, it's resonating with something in Earth's core, our planet. It has its own light. Naira's form pulsed with surprise. Of course, your world is young, still full of primal energy. That's why we were drawn here, not just because of your compassion, but because Earth itself is a reservoir of light. Can we use it? Diana asked, hope rising in her chest. Yes, Senna replied, but we need a connection, a bridge between your world's core energy and our light. And it would have to be someone who has already begun to change, someone who has started to understand the light. All eyes turned to Diana. She remembered the tingling sensation when she first helped the sisters, the way the light had seemed to sing in her veins during the first battle. She had been the first to touch them, to trust them. She had started to change without even realizing it. What do I need to do? Join with us, Naira explained. Let your consciousness merge with ours. We can use your connection to Earth, your humanity, to channel the planet's light. But the process, it will change you forever. You may not survive as you are now. Diana looked at her crew, at the planet shining blue and beautiful below them, and at the darkness threatening to consume it all. How long do you need to charge Earth's defenses? 3 minutes, Dr. Harrison said. But the power surge, it would be like containing a solar flare. Commander, Rodriguez protested. You can't. Lieutenant Rodriguez, Diana cut him off, her voice firm but gentle. "You have command. Dr. Harrison, begin the power transfer sequence." She turned to the sisters. "Let's give Earth a fighting chance." As Diana stepped into the circle of light between Naira and Senna, she felt fear but also a strange sense of rightness. The sisters' energy began to envelop her, and she felt her consciousness expanding, touching something vast and ancient. Through their merged awareness, she could feel Earth's core pulsing with primordial light, waiting to be awakened. The transformation began, and Diana Winter started to understand what it truly meant to become one with the light. As her humanity merged with the cosmic power of the Luminara, she sent a silent prayer to the universe, hoping that what they were about to do would be enough to save everything she had sworn to protect. The transformation was beyond anything human language could describe. Diana felt herself becoming pure energy, her consciousness expanding to touch both the ancient power of the Luminara and the raw force of Earth's core. Through this connection, she understood everything, the true nature of the universe, the eternal dance between light and darkness, and the role that every living thing played in maintaining that balance. "Energy readings are off the scale." Dr. Harrison's voice seemed to come from both everywhere and nowhere. "The entire defense grid is charging." The Void Hunters must have sensed what was happening. Their ships began to descend, weapons charging with dark energy that seemed to tear at the fabric of space itself. But they were too late. Through her expanded consciousness, Diana reached deep into Earth's core, touching the primordial light that had burned there since the planet's birth. With Naira and Senna's guidance, she began to draw it upward, channeling it through every defense station, every modified weapon, every piece of technology they had transformed. The pain was extraordinary, like being torn apart and reconstructed at the quantum level, but with it came understanding. The Void Hunters weren't evil, they were afraid. Afraid of ending, afraid of the dark between stars. They fed on light because they had forgotten how to generate it themselves. As Earth's light coursed through her transformed being, Diana made a decision that would change the course of two civilizations. Instead of weaponizing the energy, she began to shape it, guided by the sisters' knowledge and her own human compassion. The light erupted from every defense platform, but not as a weapon. Instead, it formed a vast network of energy, a web of pure creation that encased the Earth in a shield of living light. As the Void Hunters fired their weapons, the light didn't fight back. It embraced the darkness, transformed it. "Impossible," Hunter Prime Mordex's voice shook with fear and awe. "What are you doing?" Through the command center speakers, Diana's voice resonated with new harmonics, carrying the combined wisdom of humanity and the Luminara. "Showing you another way, you don't have to consume light to survive. You can learn to create it again." The web of light touched each Void Hunter ship, and where it made contact, the darkness began to change. The ship's surfaces, once light-absorbing voids, began to shimmer with their own inner luminescence. "The quantum readings," Dr. Harrison gasped. "Their energy signature, it's transforming." The transformation spread through the Void Hunter fleet like a wave of dawn breaking. Ships that had once absorbed light now began to generate it, remembering an aspect of their nature that had been lost eons ago. Through her merged consciousness, Diana felt Naira and Senna's joy. This was what their people had always tried to teach, that light could not be consumed or destroyed, only transformed. The Void Hunters had forgotten this truth, but now they were remembering. As the light faded, Diana felt herself being gently reconstructed. She was still human, but forever changed, carrying within her a spark of the cosmic light she had channeled. The sisters, too, had been transformed, their energy now permanently intertwined with Earth's own light. "Commander," Rodriguez's voice was filled with concern and awe. Are you still you?" Diana opened her eyes, which now held a hint of silver within their human brown. "I'm still me, Lieutenant, just a little more than I was before." The Void Hunter ships hung motionless in orbit, their surfaces now glowing with a soft, steady light. Hunter Prime Mordex's voice, when it came again, had lost its harsh edge, replaced by something like wonder. "In all our millennia of existence, we never thought. We forgot we could create light ourselves. Your people have been given a second chance," Naira said, her form now permanently merged with the base's systems. Use it wisely. Senna, similarly transformed, added, and Earth is now under our protection not as guards, but as teachers. Humanity has proven itself ready to join the community of light. As the sun rose over Earth's horizon, painting the scene in natural light, Diana felt a deep sense of peace. Humanity had faced its first major interstellar crisis not with violence, but with understanding and transformation. They had helped two hungry, desperate beings, and in doing so had changed the course of multiple civilizations. The war between light and dark wasn't over. It never would be. But now there was a new way forward, a path of balance and creation rather than consumption and destruction. And Earth, once a tiny spark in the cosmic darkness, now shone as a beacon of hope for beings across the galaxy. Diana touched the console where Naira and Senna's energy now lived, feeling the warm resonance of their presence. "So," she said with a smile, "what's our next lesson?" Above them, the transformed Void Hunter ships began to arrange themselves in a new pattern, no longer a threat but a promise of things to come. Earth's light had changed them all, and the universe would never be the same.